Today, what I want to talk about is doing things the faster way. Right now, we're at a place where you could code by hand, but AI agents actually make the job a lot easier. I shouldn't even say AI agents, I should say generative AI in general has been trained on things like GitHub, and there's really no lack of ability for it to generate almost anything for you right now. I'm trying to build something from scratch, and it now seems like the thing to do when you're building something from scratch is to first start with AI. I don't know what that's going to look like today. I'm just jumping right in, but I do want to see what it turns into. Here's the goals I want to accomplish today. I want to make an ear training app. I want to make an MVP of that of some kind, something that, sends tones at you and then asks you to find the intervals, or maybe gives you chords going in a certain direction and, name the progression, that kind of thing. I want to start small, and I want this to be a website. Put that here. That I want to create a website that has an interactive piano. So let's see how well that comes out without me having to do anything, right? Okay, so I'm going to say create an HTML / JavaScript page that contains a functional 2-octave piano. Make sure that the keys can be interacted with via the mouse by clicking. I guess they call that click. Make sure the piano keys can be clicked to generate corresponding note. Let's see what this is like. Oh, great! You need to enable Claude Sonnet. All right, whatever. Because I don't need an API key or nothing though. A lot of waiting around. Oh, you know what? I never started the timer. What happened to my stopwatch? Okay, we'll try this again. Before I could even use the stopwatch, the project was done. But let's say that took about roughly a minute, right? I don't think the right word is build, but which, yeah, almost, right? It's not bad. It's most of the way there. Pretty cool. Right off the bat, there's no sharps or flats here. You don't have D flat or C sharp. You have this. I think all the black keys are broken in some way. So, because it looks like they're stacked here, because A sharp doesn't go there. So I have a feeling the black keys are broken. So let's. Oh, same issue. Okay, so let's fix it. Let's say there's I want to make sure the stopwatch is still going. We'll just add like a minute to whatever this is. There is an error with piano.html. Seems to be, and let's see, you know what? Let's actually scroll through here through the code, and I'll bet you there are sharps. Yeah, see, look, white key, black key. I can already see. Seems to be that. It seems all of the black keys are stacked on top of each other. Sounds like a basic CSS problem. I'd rather have a robot work on that for me. That's for sure. Nothing I hate more than CSS. It's so funny. Okay, now the keys are are almost in the right position, but because look, they're definitely not in the right position here. They're above C and D. They need to be more to the right. Let's try, I don't know, just in case Firefox would get it right, but it doesn't. Okay, so we still have an issue here, right? And now the issue is the black keys are closer to being in the correct position, but now they appear below the white keys, and you need to appear over them and between them. Now you might say this looks frustrating, but if you consider how much it would have taken to code this from scratch, you'd still be working on rectangles right now. The fact that you can get this far this fast is pretty encouraging, I would say. There you go. That's pretty close. Play the chromatic scale here. Okay, now I'm just showing off. This is close. This is the closest we've been, right? This is pretty good. The only catch now is that these keys are not maintaining the correct ratio to the white keys, right? It seems to be happening in Chrome. I'm assuming it's the same in Firefox. Yeah. So, not bad. Let's see if we can get the black keys corrected. Okay, is it too much to the right or too much to the left? So this F sharp should be here. So they're appearing too much to the left. So apparently it's not accounting for a margin, and that margin causes this to get further and further out of sync as it goes. So let's see if that fixed it. It's still not quite. Let's see. So we'll say that made it better, but didn't fully resolve it. Okay, it's talking about another 2-pixel border, right? So, see what that looks like now. There we go. That looks correct. So here we are. I didn't code this. I told the computer to code it for me. And it's pretty solid. And the best part about this now is, like, you know, I never had to look up how are we going to play tones in the web browser. And I still have the ability to learn that here, right? Like, let's close the file browser portion of this. Okay, so just to get an idea of what's going on here, we got a bunch of CSS, but what I'm most concerned about is the JavaScript that plays the tones. I mean, this is all CSS. There's nothing special going on here. It's a rectangle, some text with an emoji, another rectangle, and a bunch of other rectangles. The JavaScript's doing all the heavy lifting. So I want to know what the JavaScript is doing specifically. So, I mean, that's kind of now my mission. So note frequencies. Okay, I would expect there to be a 440 in here. There we go. That's like middle A, I think. I think it's middle A. A4. Let's just call it that. 440. That's like the tuning note. So all of these are just ratios. These are fractions, right? Some number divided by some other number. And this one, 440 is like the big round number that's easy to know. But like just to see that these tones match the tones that, you know, that we're used to seeing, which I guess are in hertz. But my question is now, how do these actually play, right? Like, where else is this used? So as a listener, for clicking to every single white key and black key containing the frequency, right? Makes sense so far. Play note. What is this? Play note frequency initiates an audio context oscillator. I assumed it would be using some kind of library, but I guess you can do this natively in the browser by creating an audio context and creating a, what's the word I'm looking for? A wave, right? You build a wave with like probably an array, I would guess, or some kind of built-in wave feature for some kind of sound library, right? You have like a gain node and an oscillator and a wave, and I guess you multiply that wave at some kind of frequency, or I guess you use the gain, I suppose. Let's see how what is actually done with the frequency here. Oscillator frequency, that value was frequency. Okay, so you're setting the oscillator. Yeah, you're setting a frequency for the oscillator. Okay, so you set a frequency for the oscillator, then you start and stop, right? I don't know what the gain node does exactly. When I hear gain, yeah, so once you see these comments, attack, decay, and release, it tends to do with how quickly it gets loud and how quickly it stops being loud, more or less. It's something akin to that. We're talking about waves, kind of how they start and how they end, usually when we're talking about like attack, decay, release, that kind of thing. Pretty interesting stuff. So it's pretty cool that this, you know, I would have immediately jumped to using some library. This actually was able to do it natively in the JavaScript, which to me, that's preferable. Yeah, and I learned something here. I learned a couple things about, you know, how I would do this, and all of that without having to even once check a reference. So the reason I'm making this video is to make a point, and, you know, I'm pretty stupid because I never stopped the timer. Ugh. We know this. We know that it was less than 11 minutes, right? Which is I think that's pretty decent. We already have an interactive piano containing 2 octaves, and that took us less than 11 minutes by using AI. It's getting more and more accessible to program, but I think it's kind of funny actually because it's not completely in the domain of anyone. It requires literacy. It requires the ability to express yourself. It requires sometimes the ability to name and define complicated tech subjects and definitions and words that, you know, are not in the common parlance. My main point, my thesis of this video is that it's a time saver. Ever since generative AI became very popular and I started using it for my code here and there, I used to do things to like just, hey, debug this line. And then it turned into like, hey, make me this boilerplate, which is what this is, right? So now that we have this boilerplate and we know how to write a piano, or we have this piano here, we can take this and we can say, create an array, a constant array of all 88 frequencies as they appear on a piano. Starting from A1 to C8 or whatever it is. C7, I don't know. Well, that whole span, right? That would be, I think, the next step you would want to do. Then after that, you'd want to play a root note. You'd want to play a root note or drone it. So it's just going in the background. So either play a root note or drone the root note. Then play an interval, a random interval. Then award points success, or reward points based on the success or failure of finding the interval. Pretty simple. This is the next place I would go, and hey, maybe I will right now. So yeah, but I'm gonna make this a log, and then I'll make a new log if time allowing.